trade agreement. I didn't really hate my husband, but I didn't love him either. I don't know why I even agreed to accompany him on this trip. I usually insist that he go without me so I can spend time with William. William is everything my husband George is not. William is smart, handsome, well-educated, and keeps his cool. George has none of those qualities, but he knows how to make money. God knows that's the only reason I'm staying with him. We have a beautiful house in the Hamptons and an apartment in town, and that's where I usually meet William. George has never refused me anything and always showered me with goodies and gifts. I think most girls would be happy to have a man like George. I took him for granted, and frankly, I liked knowing that I was using him. Sometimes in the evenings I would catch myself chuckling quietly to myself, remembering the day I spent with my lover. George would sit next to me, tucked into a book, oblivious to the world around him. He was a joke, my joke. George was a cotton merchant. I'm not sure what all that entailed, but to summarize, he bought and sold cotton. Apparently, he was very good at it because he was extremely wealthy. As I said, I usually avoid accompanying him on trips, but this time was different. He promised me a whole week in Monte Carlo. The only catch was that I had to spend 2 days with him in Uzbekistan. I had no idea where Uzbekistan was, and I still don't. Our hotel was old and very ornate. It seemed like the entire building was lined with mosaic tiles. Some of them were beautiful, but most were a bit bland for my taste. The first day, we had a breakfast of fresh fruit, mostly melon. George had appointments all morning and promised to make it up to me in the evening. I told him I would find a way to entertain myself and not worry. The side streets near the hotel were full of stores. I was sure I wouldn't have any trouble finding something to occupy myself with. There were plenty of embroidered tapestries, bags, jackets, and woven rugs. What really caught my eye were the beautiful silk products. The big fur hats were fun to look at, but I would never buy them, not even for William. After about half an hour, I found a silk scarf that I just had to have. Lowering the price was out of the question, as they didn't speak English, and I was still willing to pay full price. I opened my purse and found nothing. My wallet was gone. There was no passport. There was no money. No cell phone, naturally, either. When I noticed the sales clerk on the phone, I decided I had better get back to my room. I quickly left the store and headed back to the hotel. After a few minutes, I realized I was hopelessly lost. That's when I saw them. 2 gentlemen in cheap, ill-fitting suits approached me before I could get away from them. In broken English, they asked to see my ID. I assumed they wanted my passport. All I could do was repeat the name of the hotel several times until they finally understood. Because I didn't understand the language, it was difficult for me, but I was able to determine that the porter was claiming that I was not a guest there. I repeated the room number over and over again. 2 men in suits finally took me to the room. It was empty. There was no indication that anyone had been there or stayed there. After that, we went to the local police station. I found out that there is no United States Embassy in Nukus. In fact, I don't think there was one at all in the entire country. George was nowhere to be seen. A few hours later, a large black Mercedes-Benz limousine was parked in front of the police station. A well-dressed lady took my hand and walked me to the car. I wasn't going to settle down, but I didn't know what else to do. As we drove away, I had a strange feeling that I wouldn't see George or William again. The end.